I'd now like to welcome our commencement speaker, Mikael Salovaara, to give our commencement address. As you heard a little bit earlier from Merce, Mr. Salovaara graduated from Dartmouth College. He earned a Master of Arts at Cambridge University, a joint JD MBA from the University of Virginia, before working on Wall Street as a partner for Goldman Sachs, where he ran their Broad Street LBO fund and the South Street fund. He also has served on a dozen corporate boards, as well as those of St. John's College, the College of Worcester, and the Playwrights Horizons, a writer theater in New York City. He's also an elected official in New Jersey. What I'd like to add to the little script I've been given to write or to read out to all of you is that when I think about somebody that really epitomizes Morgan Park Academy, what I think about is somebody that has done extremely well professionally, has done extremely well also from a social perspective, and a willingness to give back to the community. And from that perspective, I am very, very eager to hear what Mikael has to say to us today. So please welcome Mikael.
Thank you, Raj. Good afternoon, graduates-to-be and families, head of school Shepherd, faculty, trustees. I'm delighted to be with you all this afternoon, 43 years after my own commencement exercises. I am especially happy to be here in the presence of my classmate, Bill Hickey, who is to be honored today with the Trustees Award, and my sister, Karina. At least I think she's here. There she is. Would you stand up? Karina's a 72 graduate of the Academy, a proud graduate of the Academy as I am. Thank you all for inviting me to share in this special day. The fact that you graduating seniors are about to storm all sorts of metaphorical fronts in your young lives puts me in a historical frame of mind. Head of School Shepherd has already mentioned that this June 6th marked 70 years since D-Day, when certain French beaches were about to be taken by storm themselves. Will you all recognize with me a moment of silence for the Americans who sacrificed time, treasure, talent, and most especially young lives, like yours, in that day's cause on the Normandy coast? Thank you. Now may I, less somberly, try to put you all at some immediate ease. One of my favorite stories is about Lyndon Baines Johnson daughter, Lucy. That presidential daughter had, of course, heard more than her full share of speechifying over the years. A friend of mine was her military escort at some forgotten function umpteen years ago. My friend, the escort, was not only seen to her, but had been called upon to make some remarks at the event himself. As he stood up, she grabbed his sleeve and said these marvelous words, "I never heard a short speech that I did not like." I too have never heard a short speech that I did not like, and I'm going to try to please this morning. These commencement addresses tend to have a certain form. They are shaped by segments of Thanksgiving, first, second, reminiscences, third, celebration, and fourth, bits of advice. Those first three notions come easily to me today here at the Academy. The challenge for a commencement speaker, though, is to move through those first three items to some concluding advice that is not only pithy and useful, but perhaps most importantly, memorable. That finishing up is a tough assignment. Let me begin with the easy parts. I am excited about the notion of Thanksgiving. I'm a little bit excited about trying to get you all to move a little bit. Would the grandparents of graduates-to-be please stand up? Wait a minute. Remain standing, you grandparents. And let me ask the parents of graduates-to-be stand up with you too. Wait a minute. Now, everybody else, not including the faculty, everybody else who has played parenting roles to these graduating seniors, would you all stand up? Graduates-to-be, would you join me in applauding those who have seen you through to this day? Thank you. But now I would like the faculty to please stand, and I'd like all of the trustees to stand too. Graduates, you all of these folks, a debt of gratitude. Thank you. Graduates-to-be, many of you already know how much you owe to your families and to the MPA family. As you've already heard this morning, you did not do it alone, even if the journey sometimes felt lonely, and even if sometimes you actually were alone. Many of you will come to see over the years that you owe even more to those you have saluted just now than you know today. You may know a version of the Mark Twain story. He said something like this: "I left home at 17, amazed at how unseen my parents were. I was astounded to see how much they had learned when I returned in 4 years." Your situation is analogous. This debt is not an obligation you can truly repay in any sense except in gratitude. Though all right-thinking development offices will suggest substitute forms of acknowledgement. And they're not to be scoffed at entirely. But I call upon you to be grateful and to learn even more gratitude, you graduating seniors, as you get along in the years. As to reminiscences and celebration, indulge me as I want to offer some personal thanks of my own 43 years on. A series of names came quickly to mind while I was putting together these remarks. Dr. Brown is here. Perhaps Alice Collar is here, and I know some of the family is here. But there were a whole series of names for me and for my sister and other members of my family that were wonderfully caring and formative to us all. Mr. Stelton, Coach Jones, Mr. Cressy, Headmaster Witherington, Mr. Grenzebach, Win Irwin, Mr. Sherry, Mr. Torres, and Mr. Scanlon. And there are others, but I am going to try to keep this shorter than it otherwise would be. But I have to mention my parents and thank them. They got me here, and my brothers and sisters who saw me through. They were among my biggest fans, even on those days when they weren't. And Bill, and your wife Leslie, and Jay Tuthill, thank you, thank you, thank you for being on the way with me. I came to MPA in 1965. So Raj and I was here through 71, Raj came in 72, we cover a lot of decades together. I was here for 5 years from 7th grade on, just 5 because I spent my junior year in Argentina down by the Straits of Magellan, almost at the end of the world. After graduation, as you heard, I made it off to Dartmouth College, Cambridge University, and the law and business schools at the University of Virginia, where I heard about a thing called investment banking and joined a firm called Goldman Sachs in 1980. I married a woman from that firm and became a partner there through 1991. So Goldman was quite wonderfully responsible for 2 of my life's most important partnership relations. My wife and I have 5 children, now aged 16 to 25, one of whom is here today. Malcolm, would you stand for a second? I wasn't going to call for any applause for him, but that's all right. He knows I applaud him every day of his life, I hope. I guess I should say Thomas Malcolm. Our Malcolm is named for his great-grandfather, and it's an appropriate day today, D-Day, 70 days on, to remember that Malcolm's great-grandfather died on Guadalcanal in August of '42 with the Marines. I have walked up Kilimanjaro and Machu Picchu and run 3 New York City marathons, but my running days are over, I need a new hip, and I plan on getting one in September. I have recently graduated with a Master in Divinity degree from General Theological Seminary in Manhattan, and I work in a church, St. Peter's, Morristown, New Jersey, as a pastoral associate. I have terrific memories of the Academy and my time here. I hope all you graduates-to-be have even a tenth of the memories that I have, because you'll be blessed if you do. I remember the great snow, the 23-inch snowfall, starting January 26, 1967, like it was yesterday. Well, maybe not yesterday, but certainly last winter. If I am right, mid-year exams were underway, and I saw the first snowflakes early on that Friday from a room off the library on the second floor right up there. I think I was studying for a math exam. I remember meeting Algis Volunas, one of my best friends, in September 1965. If you wanted to overhear something strangely funny, you should have been there to see the two of us shaking hands across a dining hall table at an orientation for new students. I am Ulgis Paulius Volunas, and I am Laurie Mikael Salovaara. Fortunately, no one else was there to overhear and laugh us all the way back to Oak Lawn. I remember meeting Jay Tuthill in September 1967 when he was invited off the football field to dispose of his jewelry. Speaking of football, perhaps you've all sensibly let the program lapse. I remember our 22-7 loss to Lake Forest my senior year, and more happily, our slowed down ball control game and victory versus a very talented Harvard St. George in basketball. Bill, I remember a lot of crazy times with you, none of which I'm going to refer to here. I had and have 5 siblings. 4 of us were enrolled here simultaneously when I graduated, but enrolled or not, we haunted the place, and we were a family deeply in love with MPA. Not unreservedly, mind you, but basically we were mad about this spot on 111th Street. But my goodness, you're probably thinking, as I am, he's how many minutes into this talk? You're wondering if Lucy Baines Johnson would be leaving right now. I'm wondering too. So let me get on with it, the tough part, some advice. I offer this to you, graduating seniors. Learn to listen in your conversations with others. Winston Churchill wrote with his wonderful rhetoric that we get to make a living, but we give to make a life. We get to make a living, but we give to make a life. If you learn to listen, you will be giving of yourselves, because in listening, you endow yourselves with the greatest possible power to be present to those around you. And if you think you already know how to listen, be humble. Practice cultivating your capabilities still more. Would you like 2 specific suggestions? When someone speaks, hear them out without interruption. And then, when they are finished, address what they have said before going on to another subject of your own interest. And if you want to have a little bit of amusement, listen to some conversations around you this afternoon and going forward, and see if that's really going on. I offer you this advice as profoundly practical both for your personal lives and your business pursuits. I offer it also as deeply satisfying in becoming the fullest human beings you can be, both unto yourselves and in the presence of other folks. Maybe a story or 2 will help you remember this suggestion. For the materialist in all of us, let me tell you about one of my partners at Goldman Sachs. He retired from the firm, a mini Midas. What was the secret of his success? He said, and I quote, "Hang around and listen. The CEOs don't have anyone to talk to, and for God's sake, don't talk at them. Listen," end quote. He was talking about CEOs, but I think I have come to realize that it is sadly true of almost all of us. the unsatisfied need to be truly heard. Perhaps I can appeal to the political in you too, with another anecdote that confirms this sense of mine about our collective desire to be heard. A cousin of mine, one who died 2 years ago in Ohio at the age of 90, had been a long-time state legislator from Logan County. The secret to his campaigning success, he said, and I quote, "Go out and meet the voters, listen to them. But remember, they don't really want to know what you think. They want you to know what they think. Listen to them." Those are awfully practical examples. I wouldn't want you to think, though, that I am suggesting that in learning to listen, you should not be listening to yourself and to the spirit that may move us all. For everyone who has slipped away from my words and into some semi-conscious reverie right now, bless you. I hope you are listening closely to yourselves and not discounting what you hear from yourself. Go ahead and discount what you hear from me. You see, I hope in appealing to your practical bents that I hope you to reach your souls too, listening to those you love and loving those to whom you listen, including yourselves, may ultimately prove to be the most practical thing that you can do in the course of your lives. I wish all you graduating seniors the very best in the years to come as you storm all the beaches of your lives. May your lives be fraught with far less danger than that which was present in Normandy 70 years ago this day. And may you learn to listen in a certain way and give of yourselves to those about you, thereby making your lives as rich as they can possibly be. Congratulations to the class of 2014.